Hi. Hi. I think this is a vertical video. Yeah. I thought it was going to be of course, adjusting the tripod like right before. Okay. Hi. This is how I became a famous person, a star in my own Hollywood movies, and I didn't have to go to any big movie producers or anyone like that. And I may be a little bit wrong because God is the biggest producer, because I went to God. So I did it with my own with God's hard work, and God helped me to be a star. So I'm gonna see how many push-ups I can do, because I don't like the way this looks right now. I was gonna do some push-ups in the morning so this looks a little bit better. So I'm gonna see how many push-ups I can do. And this is the kind of work I had to do, push-ups, working out, stuff like that, to look good in front of camera for some of it. Maybe that was 10% of it, or 20% of it, or 1% of it. The real hard work was making actually really good movies and getting the funding for it, getting the funding to actually do it. Ten. 20. 30. 'Okay. I think I did 62 push-ups. Okay. Why can I barely breathe in here? I gotta get the air conditioning. I'll turn the air conditioning on. So this is how I became a big, real Hollywood insider and lead star of my own movies. From hard work. Let me try to. Bad breath. I don't know what it was when I opened that up. Or farts or something. I don't know what it was. So this is how I became a famous star. I'm not an A-list one. I'm not a superstar, so you may not have heard of me. But I started my own, I played the lead actor in my own feature-length movies. And I made pretty big movies for getting the funding on my own. When you make a movie, you write a movie that's really good, and you either sell it to somebody else and get them to produce it, or you try to make the movie on your own with the funding that you can get, or you sell your idea for a movie to somebody else. You're unlikely you'd sell an idea for much of anything. You have to write the actual screenplay and be really good at writing. You have to be really good at screenwriting. You have to be really good at doing all the work to make a movie, if that's what you want to do. Or you can be the lead actor, or a movie star kind of person. So when God makes you do things, you have to do it. So if you have to work really hard, then you work really hard. Sometimes you don't know why, or you think you know why, but God does everything. So, okay. And that's why I am who I am, because God made me that way. Okay, hi. So this morning I woke up downstairs and the sun shined in and I had plenty of sleep. I got plenty of sleep by the time I woke up and I felt really good. And the way it was that from my own hard work, or I don't know, that God made me do. God, for some reason, has a different plan. It was all about God's plan and how I felt really good about it, like how he made my life. And sometimes I'd wake up hoping to die for months. And for some reason this morning, I felt better about being alive. And it felt like everything I did was really good. Because I made movies and got to play the lead star in the movies. And it was kind of like how I'd hoped it would be in some ways. But instead of partying with anyone, instead of being one of those people who partied, who was really famous, I got married. And I got to be with my wife and kids. I got to be with, I don't know. And so I don't know how those people are who said different things that were like they're into partying or whatever. Because I didn't really get to party. I worked hard at my films. And videos. It became videos, and I'd like to make films again, because that's really my best work. And so when you work hard at something, you have to work hard at something, you generally, or I don't know, you get good results from it. You get good results from it when you work hard at stuff. And God has to make you do it, because the devil could make you work hard and then you get bad results and everything would suck and it would be ruined and you'd be nothing good ever again. Is that what you want for me? And so and so thank God we have God to help us and to do good stuff for us. Like sometimes we don't even have to work hard. Or some people work hard or kind of hard and they don't really like to, and then they don't have to work hard. But other people keep working at stuff, and it has to be for God when they work at things, because those are some people, and other people it doesn't have to be for God, because God allowed them to stray from him to do their work of unrighteousness, or their kind of bad work that's not unrighteousness, that's not going to end them up in hell, but it's kind of bad. And stay away from those people, or if they're non-believers and you're trying to be kind to them, you just be kind to them anyway. Jesus was kind to all of them. Jesus said to be kind to anyone, no matter how good or bad they are. And I found that when some people start being really mean, it makes everything really bad if they're really mean about it. But I might be wrong about that. I may have judged them. Because judge not, lest ye be judged. Judge not, lest ye be judged. So I woke up feeling really good. Like, it was kind of like the way that I'd hoped it would be, in a way, because I worked to be a famous movie star and actor, and I got to do those things, but I'm not an A-list. I'm not an A-list star. I'm not a superstar like all those people I watched growing up. You know, I'm like them. I'm a bunch like them because that's the work that I do, and that's what I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Be there for family, not do that work. I had to work at hard labor and hiring men to do work. I had to hire men to do work. It was not easy because I didn't like doing that kind of thing, and I had to it was, to get them to do the work on a budget, it was not fun to me. I didn't get to really be the boss. It was like my dad was the boss of the whole thing. And I didn't get to do it as whatever I felt. I wasn't one of those people who really liked working in real estate or working on homes, but I had to as a way to make enough money so I could actually, I don't know, I had to. I don't know why. It's not my best work, but I really had to make my films. And so for some reason I had to work really hard. So maybe I should work out now or something. I don't know. But I woke up feeling pretty good. Like, I am a really big Hollywood producer, and I didn't have to go to any big studios to make my movies. I made my movies on my own with God. And this is kind of funny. Don't be like me, I'm not a false idol. Be like God and Jesus, and He'll strengthen you to do things that you like to do, or it may be totally different from what you have thought. You may think that it's not good enough for 20 years, and then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and it's like, wow, that's almost like you really got to do it. Or it literally was, God made it that I really got to be a Hollywood insider. I made a $155,000 budget movie when I was a student. The other kids didn't make real movies. They made short films. They made regular films that were 5 or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 40 minutes. I made a real movie. I had an idea. I wasn't, I looked into who owns the films at the film schools that you go to, because some of the film schools, they own the movies that you make, and Chapman University let you keep the movie, and so you get to own it. And so I went to film school with the idea. I had been at filmmaking for 7 years or something like that, 6 years, and by the time I made my feature film, it was 7 years that I had been working at films and videos since I was 19. I went out there when I was 19, and I got to make my own movie, but I'm still not a superstar. So that's the thing that I'd like to. Well, when I get out of a car, if I do get out of a car, I'd like real paparazzi, to take pictures of me for my work, for my genius work, and no, not as some bad guy serial killer or somebody like that who has no talent or ability other than meanness to others. For my actual work that I'm really good at. For my screenwriting, I wrote the entire movies, wrote and rewrote the screenplay until it was as genius as I was able to make a work of writing. That you didn't even see me. It was the actual work written in comedy and drama that I wrote my screenplays, and had to make those as good as I was possibly able to make a screenplay. And so that's like a 80-page to 120-page manuscript, and I never fornicated the entire time I was in California, unless it was with my own wife, who I got married to. And the way that you're married is by when two people try to make a baby, it brings them together as one flesh, and then they're married. And there's some people who try to make a baby that it's fornication. I don't really understand that, but when two people make a baby, that's how they're married. And so you're not really supposed to talk about it because people get excited about it or whatever. And it may be a little sinful, but it has to be talked about. And it was, well, you know, God tells us that's how two people are married. It's not from a marriage ceremony. You're not married by a marriage ceremony or a piece of paper. God marries two people. God marries two people. So you'll know if you're married or not by the love you get from God, not from me. You know, I have that with my wife, and so I'm gonna get water. I just woke up, and here's the thing: when I was in Los Angeles, I never did drugs. Unless I fornicated with my own wife, you know, as we were getting married. I hope I didn't. I was very careful. We stayed. Even when we were really close, we didn't go too far with one another. We were really good. We were really good when we were in California, and I didn't party. I didn't fornicate. I didn't do drugs. I worked hard at my actual work, which then was school and making movies, and I was with my wife, and for God, it was everything for God, and I didn't know, but I did what I was supposed to, and so God strengthened me somehow, and I get to be a movie star, you know. But I had to suffer the least of others. Like in a classroom, sometimes I was the least of all of them. And I'd have to feel like they're looking at every detail of my body, like, oh, I'm not good enough, it's not all them, they're okay. And I had to feel that way like almost every moment. It was hard work for God and Jesus, and I had to stay for some reason I was supposed to stay in the classroom. And that went on for 8 years of colleges and universities and stuff like that, here and there, until I got really confident because I got to do work that I actually liked. Like maybe I had some kind of something about me where if I didn't like the work, I couldn't hear what the teacher was talking about or something. I didn't know it then. I was really kind to him, and I tried to listen and do the work. But unless I really liked it and really thought it was cool, I couldn't do it. And so I couldn't understand what the teacher was talking about. So I had to then, after suffering through the entire class, I had to study as hard as I could to read every sentence again and again, one at a time, until I could understand what it meant. Long hours until I made almost all A's. And I got a scholarship into one of the best film schools on earth, Chapman University. It's the #4 film school, rated now higher than UCLA's film school, where Jim Morrison and most of the famous people used to go to film school. Before, I think it was before USC, where George Lucas went. And there's UCLA. There was UCLA. Well, there is UCLA still. It's acknowledged, and it's one of the best ever. I used to sit in the classes at UCLA Film School to try to get accepted to their school. That was one of the ways you could try to get into their school. And I was a kid. I was like 19, and they didn't let me in their film school. So I got into other film schools. I got into LMU, which is the #7 or #8 or #9. I think it's the #7 film school now. The Hollywood Reporter said it's the #7 film school in Chapman University. I got my MFA from there, and that was 20 years ago. I got my BA 25 years ago, and after I got my BA, I went to work as a production designer in Los Angeles. I got an idea to become a production designer because I built my own sets on the sound stages at school 25 years ago. And after that, I've made my own movies and been the star of my own movies. So now, if I go to Los Angeles, I wouldn't have to be a production designer. You know, I can be a lead actor, a star. I got a Ronald McDonald video that went huge. For videos, it was bigger than Elon Musk's biggest video. At one time, I've done so much stuff since then. That was 20 years ago that I graduated with my MFA from one of the best film schools on earth. You know, it's not like the only fucking thing that I did. You know, so if people are trying to act like, oh, you're a student, you know, why have I had to suffer with people saying you're a student or something? You know why? Because I went to a better school than all of them for my own work for God and Jesus, and my only rant was right there, saying some little mean thing back to him. And I kept working hard the whole time, and it felt like it still wasn't there, and it still wasn't there. And I didn't even feel a little bit famous until a few years ago. And I've been at it for 30 something years, and it's so much work. And actually, I was making videos in costume in 1987 when I was like 9 or 10 years old. But most kids might do that in the United States. Most kids in the United States had video cameras, They sold video cameras to everybody in the United States. It was like something fun everybody got to do. So, I don't know. I just didn't feel like having them act like I'm some college kid or something. I don't know why. I think I've been standing up too long. Hi, praise Jesus. I'm sorry I got angry. So this made a vertical video. So I don't want to be angry. I'm going to try to get a water. I woke up, I didn't have a water, and I did 62 push-ups. Well, first I used the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom a bunch. This is a horrible low angle on my body. This is a terrible angle on my body. Well, I don't have the tripod with me, so I'm gonna try to get a water and wake up. So this is me, John Birmingham. This is John Birmingham. John Birmingham. Hi. Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. Yo. See if I can wipe the screen off. Okay. Yo. So I've been getting in better shape, and I lost 20 pounds. Lost 20 pounds because it felt really bad. I was heavy. So here's how I look now. I look kind of athletic. Or athletic. Here's how much I weigh. 241. And I don't know what to do. God knows. God knows what to do. And so I woke up and I'm really thirsty, but I had to film. And so my best work is in films. And I got really good at that before I was even in my own movies as an actor. I learned how to get really good at making movies. And the reason why I had to do it was because anytime I worked at other jobs, it was really sad. And it made me feel bad, and I didn't like it. So when I was in Los Angeles, and I was graduating one of my schools, and I thought I had to go out there and work. I tried to get regular jobs, and it made me sad. Like, I really didn't like it, and it hurt my body a little bit back then, because something about it, I didn't like working at regular jobs, but I worked really hard at stuff that I liked to do, that God wanted me to do. And I had to work at stuff that I didn't like anyway, but I found a way to strengthen my body enough that it didn't hurt, even though it still made me sad. So that's how I had to do things. And sometimes people have to not like what they do. And I'm getting out of here. It smells like some disgusting bodily fluids from another man. And so I don't know why people get excited about themselves. And so I had to close all this so I don't smell them. And the smells here for 3 years were so bad coming in from the outside. And I am very sensitive to smells, and it started smelling really good again. It started smelling really good again, and the bad smells went away. That's a miracle that the bad smells went away. But right then, it was like disgusting, like some other man's, I don't know, bodily fluids or something. And so I'm not going to be annoyed by it. I'm going to use Listerine as I usually would do. And so that made my teeth look really good the whole time, because while they were hurting my body and doing mean things to me, like putting bad smells in my mouth, I worked hard to keep my teeth really good. See? And I was suffering and cleaning the bad smell out of my teeth carefully to be good to my body, to help my physical body. And now my teeth look really good. And I've never had them whitened. It's from my own hard work. And when I was a teenager, I asked my mom and dad to give me braces. They didn't know to give me braces. They didn't care. They thought whatever, however his teeth are supposed to look or whatever, or I don't know. I don't know what. It's not their fault. You know, they helped me with probably like $3 million my entire life or something. But I was put to work for 20 years for it, to work on their houses. So it wasn't easy. But so they're really good, and they've helped me more than almost anyone would. And one of the budgets for my films when I was in film school, this is funny. This is funny as crap. My mom and dad started getting kind of rich. Well, not really rich, but they had like 30 houses when I was in film school, and I didn't really know. And I was living so poor in film school, they had me living in the corner of my friend and his wife's 1-bedroom apartment. And I had to commute to an internship, driving in a car 6 or 7 hours a day, and a full-time internship at Universal Studios, and the full-time immersion program at the film school that they said, stay at the school. That's the only work you should do is the immersion program. Don't get an outside job. And I did that. I commuted 6 or 7 hours a day as another full-time job. And I went to the internship, and I tried to save my mom and dad tuition money by graduating early. And I also had a scholarship to attend the school, and I was living on the money from the financial aid. But my mom and dad got really wealthy then, and I worked so hard that by the time I was 25 years old, I was starring in my own real Hollywood movie that I produced, that I was a lead actor in from my own hard work. And here's what Francis Ford Coppola said in a car after I studied all the people that I hoped to be like one day. And instead, God made me me. And so Francis Ford Coppola said this in a car when he was going up to get funding from his uncle one time. And it's really funny because my mom and dad had already started becoming wealthy, and I didn't know. And I was living so poor to barely get by on I was spending $200 for the rent in my friend and his wife's 1-bedroom apartment in the corner of their apartment with almost no privacy and peace, until I started having panic attacks and chest pains. I was working so hard after I had been bedridden before that for 9 months, working so hard to edit a genius work of art so I can make my own film, because it felt so bad to have to work at regular jobs that it hurt my body. So I kept working and kept working. And then when I was, after I was feeling my lowest and worst, and everyone kept being mean to me and looking down on me and said, oh, you're just going to get older and stuff, when I was 25, as if there's no way I could be young again. And I started being a little bit mean, and it wasn't that good. But the real thing is that I started working out really hard with weights, and I got really good looking, and I got to enjoy being alive. And Danica told me to get more money from my mom and dad, because they had plenty of money, and they were making me live so poor and cheap as a student. And I could go back to why I had to be a student, and they said they'd pay for me. Because when I was 17, they told me my dad wanted me out of the house. He wanted me to get a job and pay for myself. I didn't know what to do. I was still a child. So I did something awful. I tried to become a criminal. I tried to become not an organized criminal, but I tried to steal things to make enough money, because I worked at Papa John's Pizza when I was 16 or 17. It was okay, but it made me sad, and I didn't like it. I didn't know what else to do. So I stole things, and I was going to try to do that as a job, because it was the only thing. I didn't know any better as a child. And he wanted me to get to work. So I got in big trouble for it. I got in really bad trouble for it. And I only got 70 hours of community service for, I don't know why. It wasn't that bad of a thing, but I got 70 hours of community service. And then God really hurt my body for stealing. And he made me like look like a little weak, not as good looking person. And I had to study really hard. And it sucked. And I had to do that for like a year or two. And then I just left town. It felt so bad. And I went to Los Angeles. And it felt really bad. And then I got better looking in Los Angeles. Once I met my wife, you know, I looked okay. I looked okay in Roanoke, but sometimes I look like a freak. I tried to grow my hair in front of my hair, eyes, and I gotta use Listerine on my mouth. And so, I don't know why, but here's the thing that Francis Ford Coppola did. He was driving up in a car to get funding for one of his movies, Francis Ford Coppola. And it was a rainy day. It was raining down on the windshield, and he was driving the car, and he said he has to get the funding. He's going to get the funding from his uncle one way or another. He's going to get the funding. He doesn't care what the fuck happens. And spit on the window. He spit on the window because he was determined to get the money out of his uncle to make the movie. And I didn't know it. I didn't know it, but I had to get the funding for my movies one way or another when I was out in California. And my mom and dad put me through so much suffering living like I was poor, and they were becoming wealthy, and they had 30 houses. And I didn't know, but God and Jesus and my wife said, get some more money from your mom and dad. So I got an apartment. I got them to pay me more money, and my mom gave me all of her real estate salary as my student film, because as a student filmmaker, wealthy parents are supposed to pay for their child's film. It could be like $10,000 or something. And because my mom and dad were so wealthy, and I didn't even know it, they had 30 houses, just as much stock. Well, they had, I don't know, but they were more wealthy than I thought. So she gave me her entire salary as a real estate agent for 2 years. It was like $40-something thousand a year, because she didn't need the money, and she was going out there and working, and they had so much money. So they're really kind and good to me. And I made an $80,000 film. With inflation today, that's a $155,000 movie. So I would have gotten the funding from anywhere I was able to get the funding to do a movie. Even if I only had $200, I would have made a genius film and worked at it so hard, more than Van Gogh, or as much as, well, probably about the same as Van Gogh. And so I lived past when Van Gogh died. He died in his late 30s, and some awful thing happened to me to keep me alive, and it changed the way that it made me their ways, and I hid my real self really far inside, and I had to be a worker for their ways, for their ways I never liked, and like eating meat, and waking up really early in the morning, and other stuff like that. So, but now I wake up early in the morning usually, but today I woke up a little later. Hi, don't be later. Don't be later to get to heaven, I feel like gay people, neighbors or something, try to when they woke up, they just got sex. They thought about sex being with women or something, and who knows what they tried to put in my mouth when I opened up the window just for talking and making a video, But I don't want to, I do want to blame them, because I was supposed to leave here to get away from them and actually go around people where I can work and my work noticed her. But almost as soon as I was waking up this morning, it was really godly and good. I thought about my daughter Ayla. And I thought, that's what I want to do, is be with her and Danica and the kids. And so I tried to call them. So I'm going to look at the chat. I'm going to try to look at the chat. I'm going to try to look at the chat. I'm trying to look at the chat. I don't know how to look at the chat right now. I'm trying to look at the chat. Chat filter, community. Hi. Where's the actual chat? I don't know where it is. I don't know where the chat is. So anyway, that felt really bad. Like, just for talking this morning, they tried to put their bodily fluids of who knows what they did out of the windows into my mouth. But it could have been somebody else watching this who's trying to act like I'm gay for looking good, because they're so old that they can't look that good anymore because they didn't work at it with their main work. Because instead they suffered and kept down and kind of hid their body and worked at business their whole life so they'd have a bunch of money, and they didn't even get to enjoy themselves like my dad. That's what my dad did, I think. And so, like, if he sees somebody young like me, he probably thinks, oh, they're gay. But it's not his fault, because he had a shitty life. God told me he had a shitty life. It's really sad. He worked hard his whole life, and he didn't get to really enjoy and be the cool one and stuff like that. He drove a shitty minivan that had dents in it, and that was like, it didn't even look very good quality, but it could carry the building. It could carry the stuff to work. And he worked really hard the whole time. He worked like 2.5 full-time jobs, and my mom worked 2.5 full-time jobs. Well, my mom worked 1 or 2 jobs. My mom worked about 1 or 2 jobs, and he maybe worked 3. And so they both worked really hard, and that's why. And I hope he's okay. And he's the funniest person I've ever met, my dad. And I got my sense of humor from him, and I got skateboarding from him, because he's the original coolest skateboarder of all of us, of all my skateboard friends growing up. Because in the 1950s, he had one of those pieces of wood with wheels on it, with old metal wheels, when he was a little kid in New York City. And he skateboarded on that. Like, it had a little, maybe it had I don't know if it was a scooter thing or what, but he used to skateboard, I guess it was called, or a scooter and a skateboard, the beginnings of a skateboard, and he rode that on the streets with those little metal wheels. And he also was a lifeguard at the beach. He was a lifeguard at the beach, and he listened to the Beach Boys, and he really liked the Beach Boys, and he had blonde hair. And when he was a young man, he had blonde hair. When we were kids, he put black dye in his hair. I don't know why, because his eyebrows looked almost a little red. And he put black dye in his hair, I guess, to be like my mom or something, because she was Italian, is Italian. And so they're pretty good. They worked really hard, but instead of getting to enjoy a fun life, and he started to enjoy a fun life in his 70s, but before that he had to like act like, oh, he's, he doesn't look that good, he's a businessman, covers up his body, doesn't look cool or something. I don't know. No, yeah. And so, but when he was young, he was really cool. When he was really young, he was really cool. He had a brand new he had a 1-year-old Corvette. He may have had other cars like an Austin Healey or an MG, because he worked hard to pay for it all. His dad made him go to work when he was a teenager, when he was like 16. And so I wasn't able to do it. I was still a child, and I didn't know how to do it. And so I tried to do it, but I didn't know how. And so after I got in trouble trying to steal things, I didn't know how I was going to make a business or what. And he wanted me to work and be a man. It felt awful, and it felt like I was a big hairy man trapped in a little boy's body. And he said, him and my mom said they'd pay for me if I went to school. So I had to work really hard at school, but they paid for me the whole time, and it was pretty good. And they did that until I was like in my mid 20s to 27, and I made movies too. And I made some money at movies, but I didn't make too much money. And then I went to work right for them after that in their small town, and I didn't have to work very hard the first 10 years, and it was pretty good, and I never had to worry about money. And and then I had to really get to work at stuff that I didn't like for about 10 years to have enough money. And I didn't have love at home for my wife and kids, and it was really hard. And it was about 12 hours a day at stuff that I didn't even like and had to do, and knew that could make money somehow enough to pay for all of us, or pay, for me and my wife and kids, and have enough money to be on my own after this horrifying thing happened. And I didn't know who did it to me, and they tried to like make me their ways, and I was shown hell, and it was horrifying. And maybe it was punishment for being too selfish, because the devil is selfish. So instead, I had to be their ways that I didn't understand, and I thought for sure their ways are bad, or I don't know. And so, I don't know. So I guess I could work out again. I don't know. It's just disgusting. It's like their man's bodily fluids coming in from there. It's like that's all they. It's like, is that all that they think about? Like, I didn't like the way my face looked right there either. I like my face to actually look really, really perfect all the time, but you can't do that. We're flawed. I had to learn that we're flawed. I used to try to say I was perfect and my wife was perfect. I'd say perfect. I'd work as hard as I could at, and I'd say I look perfect. And I'd try to make it a reality, but by working really hard at it. But you can't, because only God is perfect. We're flawed. We have sin. We'll never be perfect. Like right here, I can see that it doesn't look that good, and it makes me feel bad. And it's like the lighting isn't the best right now, and it's okay. And they've made me try to accept all those little flaws about the way I look, and they kept the lights down low in here. I don't know if it was the devil or God or the people who were put in my life by God. And I had to act and feel like I was 93 years old, where the images in some of these windows that were distorted at night, and it was dark in here because it was dark in here. And when I catch a glimpse of myself, it looked like a 93-year-old bald man who was an ogre, like, and like and I couldn't even turn the lights on to look good and feel good about the way I looked, and it felt so bad. And I had to like feel like an old has-been loser. The has-been one that hasn't been too bad to make Al feel good about himself or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And so anyway, but I couldn't see actually how my face looked. There'd be like some weird window that was so dark that you try to make out like this one sucks. This one sucks. Like, here's what it looks like every time I try to go pee. See if I can get the lighting just right in here. Every time I try to go pee, if I'm peeing standing up, I look at myself, I catch a glimpse of myself in this really dark thing. You can barely make out what it looks like, and it tries to look like it's like the oldest head with the distorted faces that people think that I'm like, and I have to suffer like Jesus, like worse than Jesus, saying it's not me, and so people don't get the wrong idea about what they saw in the video. It's so much work to make the videos because it's fun to make them, but then after, people think, oh, he just does whatever he wants, and then it was years of suffering. And now it's okay. And God made everything okay, almost. not really, but for them. And so I don't know, but I'm actually famous. I played Ronald McDonald in the biggest Ronald McDonald movie on earth from 2016 to 2020. That's me, Ronald McDonald. It was my idea to make the video, and the video earned $200,000 with me as the star, a bigger video than Elon Musk's biggest video on earth by the year 2020. John Birmingham playing Ronald McDonald in a video that had 63,800,000 views. So, you know, if you think that's not famous, I don't know what to say about it. And that's only one of my videos. I did 3 entire movies. Every one of those took I don't know. You know, it was so much work. It was so much work, and that video got really big in 2016 and got some views after that or whatever. Danica was making like $10,000 a month at it or whatever, just that one video of hers. And my channel was making hardly anything the whole time. Her videos, she was a person who, when we woke up in the morning, we were there together and I could talk about anything about. And I had her, and I still have her, whether it's movies or not. I'm married to her, and I'm supposed to talk to her and the kids. And so other people try to make it about sex, and it's really annoying. And it's like, I don't know why, but to get to be in the same house as her with the kids, whether that's here or any house, you know, but you know, some people think about sex and that's all they think about. So I got to turn the video off. I don't know why. Okay, bye.